Hi, welcome to Design It with Tammie Gibbs. I'm Tammie, and today we're going to be working inside Artistly 6, and we're going to be using the Playbooks just to show you how you can elevate your clip art, your images. I call everything clip art pretty much. So, your images. Elevate your images using color and texture and some other variables that are going to sort of bring your one-dimensional images to life. Give them that extra oomph that you need to stand out on Etsy and the other platforms. I believe that we are at that point in AI art that it is going to be the ones that do go the extra mile, the ones that add in their own stylistic elements, the ones that learn to use color and texture and styles to their advantage will be the ones that pop out amongst all of the other noise in this market. So I want you to succeed in your business and take your art to the next level. And so that's why I want to today just sort of take a back up a little bit, and let's look at the prompts. Let's look at how um, different images, how changing the colors changes the mood, gives you more options for using your art, how simple tweaks can make the difference between you um, becoming very, I guess, disillusioned with your AI art and looking forward to doing your AI art. The more you become comfortable with prompting, I feel like the better art you're going to produce, and then you're going to be happier. You'll produce a lot faster the more that you learn the techniques and how to pull things together from an artistic standpoint. So let's pop in. We're going to be working inside the Fast AI Image Designer, and we're probably going to start over here with just your basic prompting area. And what I'm going to do is pop into this is volume 5 of the AI Artist Playbook, and it is on Christmas florals. So I'm going to use these as examples. I'm going to pop in and let's just go to the beginning, to the table of contents, and let's just take a look. So let's go to this rustic woodland base prompts. Okay, so this is basically base prompts that are in this book. And so this is cottagecore, this is rustic. So we're going to start with a very basic prompt. And this is where we just start building our composition. So we're going to go to the rustic woodland, and actually I'm going to change the generator that I'm going to be working with. But so let's go to this rustic woodland cluster watercolor composition. Okay, we're going to pop it in here. This is our main prompt generator, the version 6 one. I'm going to change the folder over here to Christmas. I already have one set up for the florals playbook. So since I'm kind of be working in that, I want these to go into that folder. So that'll make it easier for organization purposes. So we're going to start with this basic prompt, and then we're going to build from it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this basic prompt and we're going to pop over here. just to show you the differences in your selection process. And this is because a lot of times with my videos, this may be the first one you're watching. I want to go back to Artistly and all of the different options. I'm going to use this grunge scrapbook, and we're going to paste the same thing in here. And we're just going to get, these are baseline prompts. These are the images that kind of set where we want to build it. Okay. So we see that this gives us a little bit more as far as watercolor color and composition. I like this better than I like this, which is not quite as pretty to me. So a little bit more standard. So we're going to be working inside for the florals in this grunge scrapbook. And I know, grunge scrapbook, who would have ever thought that you could use that? So what we're also going to do is we're going to test this image over here. And I'm using Pixel Cut just because I can easily get in and out of it. Pixel Cut is a good product. I already owned it whenever they added the features inside Artistly. So what we want to know is how clean this really pretty watercolor, but we want to know that it cleans up well, and it does. So now we can feel confident to move forward with our prompting inside this particular generator. So here is how we can take this particular very basic, and this is just that starter, and then we can pop back in. And what we're going to do with this very basic one is we're going to go back to our table of contents, and then we're going to go over here to grouped phrases. And then we have all of these things. So this gives us basic combos of flowers for our, so let's go with the holly sprigs, mistletoe, and berries. So we're going to grab that, pop it back over here. So rustic woodland floral cluster. And we're going to say featuring, and then we're going to paste this in. Holly sprigs, mistletoe, and then we're just going to test it out. Okay. So now we've got some mistletoe, some holly sprigs, and berries. Okay. So now we can build from that. We're going to go back into here. And we're actually going to go over here, and fillers, we're going to go to greenery. So we want cedar sprigs or pine branches. Let's do pine branches. Pop back in. Go in here. We're going to change this. Oops. Okay, sorry about that. I erased the wrong thing. Floral. I'm going to put element featuring holly sprigs, mistletoe berries, mistletoe. We're going to paste in the pine branches. We don't need all that part. I copied too much. Okay. So now we're adding in these pine branches. There we go. So we're really beginning to get some. Now we've got some elements here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the same thing. Okay, we're going to go down here and we're going to change the aspect ratio. If you watch any of my videos, you know that you can change the aspect ratio without having to make a lot of tweaks in the style design, like especially with florals and things. Just changing up that just for some reason helps to populate it in a different way. Look how beautiful that is. So we just asked for an element. This is really pretty. Okay, so we have this. So now let's go into, we've refined it some. We've got a really beautiful element here. Let's go into here again. But this time we're going to be looking for something different. We're going to be looking at color and palette words. So we're going to look now at colors and palettes. So we're going to go into this frosted neutral palettes and see what it, frosted neutrals and ivory and dusty green. We're going to experiment with how we can take this one prompt. We've kind of got it refined a little bit, and how adding different colors and different textures we're going to put it right here. And well, let's go back because apparently I did not copy it properly. Now we're going to go right here and we're going to paste it in. And this is going to be, again, this size. I'm going to go in and change it so we see both of them. We see the other aspect ratio as far. Okay. So here you see that it changes up a little bit the colors and everything. Now that was not the aspect ratio I intended to do. So here we see how, okay. So basically this put it in a background, which this is a beautiful image, but we're going to regenerate it. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to change this. And we're going to move it to the beginning. Take those quotes out. Okay. So the order does make a difference. Those are really pretty, the elements. Isn't that gorgeous? Just by changing the aspect ratio and doing the elements. Okay, so let's go back and let's do winter neutrals in the ivory. Okay, I'm going to do this one more time by adding that little helper phrase and see what it does. Sometimes it overrides your colors and you just have to troubleshoot through it. Okay. That's what it's doing in here, is overriding what I'm typing in. And we're going to paste the new colors in here. Okay, and winter neutrals. Soft. Okay. And each one of the generators handles these things a little bit different, which is why I always like to let you watch me as I troubleshoot. There we go, finally. Okay, so what we had to do to get it to change up our colors. Now see, that's really pretty. And you see how just changing it up changed, now we don't have the really green, we have this more sage look. Okay, so let's examine that so you can see exactly what I did. Okay, so I moved the color from back here because this particular generator didn't recognize that it was not giving it high enough priority. And then, so I added what was supposed to be rendered in the colors by putting florals and greenery in, and then uploading and pasting in the neutrals and ivory, soft gray, and sage colors, adding colors to it instead of leaving it just in sage. That helped. So that triggered it. So remember to add colors in, if it doesn't right away recognize it, you can add colors to it and then specify what of the image you want done in those colors. So that worked out really well, and that's a really pretty. Let's do another one. You just have to remember when you're using the let's see, the AI Illustrator, I think it is up here. Yeah, Art Illustrator. There we go. So, and these would be really pretty. Let's make sure that we're getting something that's usable, that we can remove the background cleanly. Just test it out against the black. Look how pretty that is. Very pretty. Okay. So, but remember to always, when you're downloading, go back to the transparent. Okay. So now let's test this further, and we're going to test the same one, but we're going to go into some other colors. Let's go up here, and we're going to do the classic. So we're going to do the bright ruby red forest green with metallic highlights. We'll try that. So we've already basically got it set up. We're just going to test to see the differences. What I'm trying to show you is that sometimes you can make little tweaks, like with the aspect ratio and with making the tweaks with the colors. And you're basically going to be able to, you get your good prompt, you get that down, then you tweak. Now look at this. You can see how much difference there is in this. Still a very beautiful image, but even back to our original here, color. So we've got this, we've got these more muted with the sage. We've got kind of a blend here. And then with this one, we've changed it up, and now we have a brighter, it's still a beautiful image, but it gives us a little more vibrancy. So we could do an entire pack with this that's going to be different than a pack that we do with this and these different versions of it. So by just changing the elements and the textures, you're going to be able to make that prompt go a lot farther. And when you're not having to start with a blank screen every time with your prompting, then you're going to work faster. And as you see, you're still going to get some really amazing images. So let's just show you how you can take, and we can do this in these different aspect ratios and get different looks. And that's how you can end up building your packs. Now see, we still have elements in there, so it's giving us these two. We can take elements out of the prompt and we can put floral spray or cascading bouquet. And we change up the aspect ratio, like I said. And then it's going to give you the different elements that you need for your pack without you having to see. Now you have like this little spray look. Okay, so now we've got this cascading bouquet. We're going to take it. We're going to go down here and we're going to change that aspect ratio and see what different elements that we can create. And we haven't really had to touch the colors or anything like that. That's how you can get your consistency and everything. Now see, this is really pretty, very pretty. So you're building your one prompt that you're going to work off of. And then you can take that one prompt and go off in different directions. And that's what my playbooks help you do, because it has all these different phrasing so that you can mix and match them. We can mix the we can take this one now, and I want to download it because you see that it has quite a bit of wash back here in the back. So we want to make sure that we're not creating a bunch of stuff that then we can't use it for what we want to. So if we want to remove the background, we want to make sure that it's going to remove it clean, and it looks like it did. So we test it against black, and we see how absolutely beautiful this image is. Now this works not just for florals. I know a lot of people say, you do florals a lot, stuff like that, but I mean, it doesn't really matter about the subject, whether it's florals or it's an animal or whatever it is. And I'll do some samples with some animals and stuff in a little bit. But you see how beautiful that is? Now we take this very same one, we pop it down, and we change that aspect ratio. Let's say we want 2 like that. Doing a pack, you've got, probably 10 to 20 different items, and you don't want all of them to be the exact same look. So you want to do things. Now see how pretty that is, and it elongates it. And so we get those images like that. They're a little bit different. With this one, we can do the same thing. We can regenerate it like that. So this is how we begin to fill up we could do 2 like that if we want to. And we get to see some variety, because you're going to want to have a combination of different layouts when you do these things. So we've got these, all very beautiful images, and we're building our pack. Okay, so now we're going to go into this one. And we're going to go back over to our florals just to get our colors. So let's try it with, let's see. This rustic farmhouse palette. We're gonna do this one. So you can change the types of flowers. So if we were doing a little girl, we could change the things we could change is, texture. Maybe we want blue jean. We want a denim look on her jumper. Or maybe we want her to have brown eyes or blue eyes, or we want to change the color of the hair, the style of the hair. All of these are the elements that set your images apart. Okay, so see, now we have taken this exact same prompt. We have essentially only changed up our color scheme. Can you see how this is going to help you not only do really beautiful work and beautiful images, but also save time in the way that you choose your color palettes, how color palettes can change up the whole look, how you can do multiple packs and different things without them. They're not identical, but they have the same feel, but they're in a different color scheme. So, now we can test that out with some different layouts. So let's just make sure, like I said, you always want to make sure when there's a wash that the images that particular generator is giving you are okay. So you see, it still comes clean. And here we are. I do this every video. Forget to plug my computer in. Okay, so we're going back in here. Now we're going to see what this looks like in those different aspect ratios. Let's do a we can also change what type of element we're looking at, like we have this cascading bouquet. Okay, so here we have this. It gives us this shape. And we can go up here and do this. You can also tell it to isolate it against a white background. And that may or may not. Now, this one changed our colors up for some reason, and I'm not sure why it did that. But if you've been watching me very long, you know that sometimes the AI will throw something out there like randomly and it breaks up the whole. See, now we've gone back to more of the elements that we had in our original images. It just throws something out. It decides, okay, you've been doing that for a while, so let me just throw something different out there for you. So you have sort of an outlier. Okay, so let's go and test out some other colors. So let's try this deep burgundy and champagne gold just because I think that's cool. And we're going to go back to this one. So those are beautiful. The deep burgundy is beautiful. That one kind of cut. I would still use that one because even with the cutouts, this would be gorgeous on a bridal invitation or something. Let's do 3 of those. Let's do them like this and see what we get. So we can do, instead of a bouquet, we can do a floral wreath. Up here we'll see. Look how pretty those are. Those are gorgeous, but they have a lot of wash in this background, so we want to test that out and see if it meets our criteria. I mean, that is beautiful. Now, this element alone, even with the background, would be gorgeous for using with junk journals and stuff, but we want to make sure. Isn't that gorgeous? That is just absolutely gorgeous. And you don't get any of it with white either, so that is definitely beautiful, beautiful image. Whoops. Let me go back where we're supposed to go to the wreath. And then see, here is the wreath that kind of matches with the burgundy look. So see, we've got our wreath. How pretty is that? And it's got the little rustic elements with the grapevine. So just take that in. Make sure it eliminates that wash. Oh, and it did not. So this particular one, it did not remove all the wash from it. So we know that we would have to go back in and try to put like isolated against a white background and see if that works. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Baby. Shh. Shh. Be quiet. Sorry. I believe she must have heard something outside. Okay, so that got rid of some, but it still left some. So let's go in and test it. Okay, so it looks to me like it probably got rid of it then. Yes. So now we're back down to a really clean looking image. So that's good. You would just need to go back in and add that isolated against a white background. Okay, so let's go back over here and go back in and let's try this weird. Now, I'm not sure this will do it, but this is kind of more of a whimsical kind of look. So let's see what it does. And we're going to also at the same time, we're sort of merging away or leaning away. I don't know. My words are all messed up today. Instead of the woodland floral, we're going to say whimsical floral. It's still going to have the same elements, but we're going to change it from rustic to whimsical and see how that affects it. Okay, so see, we get a little bit of we get some different colors in here, but now let me show you how you can go in and add even more little elements. So we're going to go here and we're going to go over to ribbon and decorative accents. So we're going to add a rustic plaid ribbon. Okay. So we're going to go in here. We're going to change the aspect ratio here. We're going to go right here with and then we're going to paste in rustic plaid ribbon. Okay, so it's added our little ribbon here. And that's really cute. Okay, so we're going to regenerate it. But this time we're going to, instead of rustic, a large, whimsical, not rustic. And then we're going to go back in here and let's see, candy cane striped bow or red and white peppermint bow. Any of those are going to match with our little theme of whimsical. So go back and red and white peppermint. And we want a bow, not just a ribbon. Now look how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? That's just awesome. So we get that whimsical peppermint kind of look in with our greenery and everything. So really even though it is a Christmas oriented for Christmas florals, this particular playbook is really cool because of the different ways that it helps you to work with florals. And you can basically take until I get a full other type of florals kind of playbook done, which is in the works. But until then, you can use a lot of the elements in here as far as containers and adding lighting. And like, for instance, you can add shimmering snow dust. We can add that to this one. Let's go and see if we can add that and what that does. We're going to add it right here with shimmering snow dust and a large whimsical red and white peppermint bow. Let's see if we get some little sparkles. So all of your choices when you use the playbooks are what makes your particular image personal, because everyone's not going to make the same combination choices that you do. Okay, so I'm not sure I really see any sparkles. Still a pretty image. So let's go with, we may need to choose one that is a little bit more, let's see, glitter sparkle. Let's add that in, glitter sparkle. Some of these, it would be easier for me just to type it. All fingers sometimes. Okay, you have to look very closely, but it did put some little sparkles here and little sparkles there. Now, this is going to be one of those things that you have to test it out to see if it even adds anything when you go to remove the background or whether it just gets wiped away. But there are some instances, like see here are the little sparkles. You can see them here. You got little sparkles there, a couple little sparkles there. It's not overwhelming. There's some sparkles there. Personally, that probably isn't something that I would really do a lot of with something like this. Now, in certain situations, like if you were going to use it for junk journals and stuff like that, then you may want to, you may actually want to use sparkles and the different lighting and all that kind of thing. But when you're just doing clip art, you're probably not going to be using it that way. Okay, so let's move on and let's look at just some of the other things that you can use element-wise. And I'll try to talk you through how that compares with different. We are going to go in and we are going to do like some animals or something so that you can see instead of just florals. But so all of this, you can get down to the specific flowers. The playbook was built around combinations that work well together. So when you can get whole groupings of flowers that are already sort of tested and that they complement one another to make cute bouquets. Mood themed, so these are like different groupings based on the mood. Like if you want icy and sparkling winter, there are certain florals that, combinations that sort of support that. Different choices in the like doing for romantic using peonies, using roses and sweet peas and that sort of thing. So it just helps you with all of that. And like I said, all of this stuff can be still utilized in a general way. You just have to kind of, like here's a Scandinavian minimal base. And so let's try this and see what it gives us. And I'm just going to go in here and do this. I'll just erase it out. It's easier to do that than to go all the way up to the top again. So this is going to give us a more minimal look. Okay, now, because this is the base, and you have to watch this if you're going to start with one of my bases, this gave us a more realistic. So what we have to do is we have to go back in and tell it that we want it done in watercolor. And I'm just doing simple watercolor instead of going in and choosing one of the different watercolor techniques because, of course, my videos are long anyway, and we want to make sure that we do them as quickly as possible for you so that you get the most out of it. So see, so now we have a very more minimal looking wreath and set floral. Okay, we build from there, adding the different. This doesn't tell us any elements, so it's not going to hold to this. It may for a couple of images, but then it's going to veer off and start giving you random because it's trying to test you. The AI is to see what of these that you like. So that's something to think about. You'll need to set what elements you want to, whether you want poinsettias or you want holly berries or you want pine or you want fir limbs or branches or eucalyptus or whatever. You need to name those things. That way each one has those elements in it. Okay, so I hope that this is helping you. So now let's take this whole thing over into something else. So let's regenerate here. I'm going to go now into the volume 2, and we're going to go to the table of contents, and we're going to go into whimsical fantasy, and let's see. Let's just pick one. Unicorn in a moonlight meadow. This is a sample prompt, so we're going to just grab it. No. Let's do the Mushroom Village because I think that one may be one that'll be really cute to change and show you the different colors and stuff. So we're going to wipe all of this out and paste in this. So we're going to get our base as we start to see what our Mushroom Village is going to look like. And then we're going to start adding our personal elements in, because we need to find out if this is we want to do this in this particular style under the grunge generator. If we want to do it, so yes, I like that. That's pretty. Okay, so let's download this though, because now this, because it's not necessarily going to be for clip art. So, but we are going to see how it would look with the background removed, like what elements it's going to take away and what it's going to leave. So this is only going to leave our mushrooms. So that's not necessarily bad. We could still use these elements, but okay. And this does say soft watercolor, so we're good with that. Okay, but now let's go into, and I'm just going to go back into this because into the colors, because ultimately you can actually still use, hang on, let me make sure I'm where I want to be. Color and palette words. Okay, so there we go. So let's go into this frosted neutrals or winter neutrals. I like this with the sage and everything. So let's see what kind of look we can get when we add this in. We're going to put it here. Colors. And we're going to and you see how that changes the total look and how cool that is. Isn't that gorgeous? And all we did was change our color palette. We didn't change anything else. But now look at what you can create just with that. Let's go down. Let's change that aspect ratio. So if you have the different versions of the different playbooks, then think outside the box and, start using the different elements. Now you could go back in and say you want all the mushrooms in those colors. So we could go back in and we could say all mushrooms in winter neutrals. Because we didn't specify. So then it gave us this, then it gave us this because we didn't specify where we wanted those colors. And okay, and it's overriding it for some reason. These are still very beautiful colors because you see it has the differences between here with all of these brighter colors, and then here with this one. And let's just look at it bigger. You can see that it did mute sort of the colors here. It gave you the different colors on the greeneries and surrounding areas. So still pretty happy with that. Now this one, we're going to go back to this. See what it does. Those are still very pretty images, but it's still overriding our mushrooms. So let's do this. Create the mushroom heads in winter neutrals of ivory, soft gray, and sage colors. And then we're going to put a whimsical mushroom village. And then and it's still overriding it. I'm not sure why it thinks that the mushroom is supposed to be neutrals, the heads. Let me think. I got to figure it out for you guys. Okay. Maybe because it says whimsical, let's take that out. Because whimsical may be cueing the addition of those colors. Nope. So that didn't do it. Okay. So let's go back and take all of this and okay. Sometimes we have to fight with the AI. Okay, so it's still not going to do it in that. So let's do this. I'm going to copy it. We're going to paste it into a different and see if it's just the generator itself that's wanting to, because I would really like to have something in those colors. So let's just change it up. Let's go with this one. That's what happens sometimes. You just can't get it to. Now, these are all lovely images, and I can use them in something else. But I just wanted to. I liked that first one that gave us that image with the grays. There we go. Okay. There we go. So now we've kind of got it. So now let's download this because this one is also one that puts a lot of those little patches behind it. So let's see. But now this would be beautiful for junk journaling. Okay, so this is great. This will actually remove, we can remove and get just the isolated mushroom images. And they still have that tinge of orange, but as you can see by using and changing that, we ended up with a more natural color, which is what we were going for. So now let's test it with some other aspect ratios and see if it holds and gives us the same look, consistency, so that we could build a whole pack. Yes. That's a really pretty image. Now, this would be really good for junk journaling, and you wouldn't have to do anything as far as, you really wouldn't be removing a lot of the background or anything on those. You would just want to do it, probably, if you were going to do it for junk journaling, I would do it in the 3-4, which is going to make it fit on an 8.5 by 11 easier, where you get the least amount of loss. And so you can build your page. This could be like a whole page like that. And then you can refine it and say you want it to be back in here. You could even shift it around so that it puts more emphasis on the village to try to get a little bit more of a village look. Like that. See, there's some really pretty images here. And we've got those colors. Okay, so let's go back into the colors. Let's go to see if we can. Let's go down here to those burgundy colors that were so deep burgundy and champagne gold and see what that does when it is applied to the mushrooms. Okay. So we just don't know. We're just going to test it out. So that puts us back into those rich colors again. And like I said, these would be really pretty on a lot of things. Cards, note cards, illustrations for a storybook. There's a lot of different things that would be really good. So you see how color affects it and can change up what you're offering. You could do little adjustments to it, like instead of a whimsical mushroom village, the mushrooms are houses. Storybook illustration, and then pop it in. So you basically build from there with what direction you're going, whether you're doing an illustration, whether you're doing something you want a little bit more fantasy. And okay, so that one didn't go exactly the way it should have gone. We've got a little town, but these mushrooms are not houses, so we just have to tweak that. Okay, so we're going to go back over here because I want to try the whimsical and playful. So we're going to look for something that would be this peppermint palette. No, let's see. Bright red and candy pink. We're going to add a few things in to this. And we're going to go in here. Colors are going to be, we're going to take the mushroom heads out and just put the colors. Enchanted accents, whimsical mushroom. Let's see, we're going to go into volume 2. We're going to get let's go to where it says magical fairy tales. And we're going to put that here. Magical fairy tale style. A whimsical mushroom village. And we're going to, let's see. So now we're getting some different little colors in here. What we can do with this is now swap it out. And then we can go back up to the AI Art Illustrator. Again, we're looking at ways to make our process go faster, be more creative with what we're creating. And we can do that so easily inside Artistly. If you don't have Artistly, I have a link down in the description. My affiliate link doesn't cost you any more to purchase through my link, but it does help support my channel and my videos to show you what you can do. Look how cute this is. Now what we did is we changed to the clip art style. What we can do from here is we can isolate it against a white background and try it like that. Artistly has so many. Now the version I'm using is the full package. It's around $150, $149 I think dollars. It's a one-time, one pay. You pay one time and it's a lifetime. Now look at this. Now we have gone from having something for very illustrative for storybooks, for your junk journals, and we just changed up this particular prompt and put it under the clip art setting, and now we have a cute piece of clip art here that we can use with clip art with our mushrooms. So we've basically just taken it and we've run the whole gamut with it, and you can see how just changing up the colors, how you see how cute that is. That's gorgeous. And then tweaking using the playbooks, how you can get so many different styles and that sort of thing. So now let's take this one and let's change we've got it down, we've got it good. Let's change the colors. So let's go in here and let's go to the Vintage palette of Dusty Rose and Faded Cream. Let's just try that and see how that works within our clip art that we've got going on. So let's change. Okay, so right here we're going to change it and paste it in. Okay, so it did give us a little bit of pink. Now that one I need to regenerate anyway because it didn't fit everything in. So let's go back here. We're going to try it with okay. So instead of red, it's kind of giving us a weird color here. That's how it's interpreting that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try something a little bit away from the norm just so you can see it. So let's go back to here. And let's try this Rustic Farmhouse palette. There we go. So then you can see we've changed it up now. So we have some different colors. Let's test it out, make sure it didn't add anything in that would be hard to remove. It doesn't look quite as precise as that first image did. So we did get some little sparkles, which is fine. It's still a really pretty and cute image. It's got some little gold in there. So that's how that works. Okay, so now let's go from, we've gone through florals and the mushrooms, and let's go back to our let's see if we can find now this is another way that we can tweak it before we move on. If we're going to try some of the textures rather than the colors, we can replace it and okay, so what we want to do is go back in and we're going to add, and let's see where we want to do it. We're going to put this here at the beginning. Rough pencil and charcoal smudges, hand drawn with eerie shading. Let's see how that does. So we're basically adding texture and a different style. It's not just watercolor. It's got the, okay, so see how that changed up the look of it by just adding the rough pencil and charcoal smudges. We still get the color and everything. We've still got the color, but we've got the hand-drawn and the shading, and that's really a cute look. You see how that compares to these? Okay, so we're going to take this now, go back into these other colors here, and we will add festive red and evergreen and just see what it looks like. It's not going to be it's not going to be super bright, I don't think. But we're going to try it and see what it looks like with that charcoal. So all the different elements are going to make your art stand out. So the more that you add, the more variation that you get. Now isn't that pretty? You see these, what they look like, and then you see where just adding one of the textures, I think it was under textures. Let me see. Yeah, the textures and brush strokes. And this was for Gothic and Dark Academia clip art. So you can mix and match these things, but just look at how much better that looks and how that sets it apart from just your basic clip art. Do you see the difference of adding all the elements in and then these are cute. You can definitely use them, but you can also offer more, more variety, more, a more personal image that sets you apart from what everyone else is doing. And let's just see how well this one cleans up for clip art, what it's going to take away and what it's not. Okay. So isn't that cute? That is so pretty. And whether you're doing storybooks or whether you're doing, clip art for other people to use, whether you're doing junk journals, all of these techniques and tips will help you create better and prompt better art. And I just I know I prompt a lot, but I'm prompting for the images and not to show you the differences and how when you take the same prompt, you apply the different colors, how it can affect it, how changing up the different things. I just tried to come at it today from a different perspective, just to open your mind so that you will experiment in that direction. And so I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it has helped you and that you will go and make some beautiful art. You'll experiment with your playbooks. If you don't have your playbooks, then definitely give it a look. Today I was working out of the Christmas Florals playbook and the Volume 2 clip art playbook, and I've got the themes playbook. Anyway, just go check them all out. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. I have all the links to my stores where you can pick up the playbooks, and I have the link for Artistly. So just check out the description for all of that. Be sure and join my Facebook group. It's free. A little extra support and help there when you're working with Artistly or just have general questions about digital product sales. So have a great day and happy creating, and I'll see you next time.